So when looking at our project description, I decided a story-driven narrative might work better for the next page. As we have lots of little descriptions, we can slowly work in and find the perfect photo that pairs with the proper description on the right or the left. So this was a layout that I found in the layout downloadable resource I thought would be really helpful, so I'm just kind of applying it. Of course, you can adjust it to however you think would work best with your particular photos, but I want to really maximize the photos. So this is when you may not have a particular photo for this. So brainstorming, do I have a brainstorming photo of this project? Maybe Lillian didn't have that when she created this project. So that's where you need to maybe find one. You can get a stock photo. It's best to think about this when you're doing your next project work, to capture some of those beginning stages so that when you do your portfolio, you can show some of these more authentic brainstorming type actions where you're showing sketches. You can kind of think about that the next time you do a personal work or a paid client work. Keep track of all those, take photos of that process, because it can really come in handy when putting together your portfolio or your website to kind of have those really cool images. So I found this one, but I think it can work for what we have. We can find something a little bit more fitting. We can create our own if we have a little bit of time. So continuing to find photos that I think pair well with the descriptions. You could do, if you feel like you need to put all 3 steps here, that's great. If you feel like you really want to make the images bigger and show more of the details, you can only do 2 per page, or you can really focus on 1 per page. If you don't have a lot of total projects in your portfolio, you can spend more time really focusing in on detailed photos. So we're going to do that for the next one. This one's pretty description heavy, so for the next page we're going to focus a lot on just 1 or 2 photos to have more of a focus page where they can stop and see a lot more details, especially when it comes to the product or package design that we designed for them. We really want to show that off in a nice big image, so we're going to do that for our next page. So when thinking about the layout for this one, we're going to really display the product package design. I really wanted to use this photo, but we already used that as our hero image in the first page introduction of the project. And this is why it's great to do a layout plan ahead of time, so you can figure out what photos are going to go where. So what I decided to do is go back to the front page and use this one as kind of our hero image, because I feel like it has lots of different things going on. We're using multiple images, but it's really one well put together branded image that I think can really capture the branding side of the project. So that will also leave us available for the package design page to have that image displayed. So this probably pairs better with the description here. We want to make sure our descriptions pair well together. So you're probably noticing how each page is presented just a little bit differently, yet there's still a connecting theme. I think this is nice to break it up. So this one has quite a bit of photos. It tells the story. This one's more about showing off your design or your skill set. So you kind of see kind of the different arrangements I'm having on each page, just to shake it up and to keep the viewer on their toes and to kind of make a more rich experience. So this is the next page, kind of doing 2 photos that are trying not to compete with each other but really highlight the logo. And then going down to another page. We're already kind of going past what I planned. That's okay. Sometimes you have to go past it if you have a pretty large project that you want to present. And so here's the social media. I thought I'd kind of maybe show 1 as a larger image and 2 as smaller images, because if you were to show all of them at the same time, they can't really get a good idea what it looks like. So having kind of 1 that's zoomed in a little bit bigger helps when you have the kind of projects that have a lot of detail, or you maybe have 8 different versions or variations. Sometimes it's nice to have a little hierarchy and have 1 be a little bit bigger so they can really see the details, because it was all small. This is a PDF. They have to zoom in to really look at the details. You don't want them to have to do any work. You don't want them to have to zoom in to see anything. They should be able to see everything right here at this view. So for project number 2, we don't have a really big project, which is good because our first one took up a lot of pages. So this one will only take up 2 pages, only have a few images, but I really wanted to include it in the portfolio because I think it'd be a nice complement to the last project. It's a little bit different, but it's still in the branding design side of things. So this is a personal project for a school project that Lillian had. So we want to make sure somewhere there's personal project labeled, and we'll find maybe a clever way to do that in a very short description. So we're going to be a little less wordy. We're going to be a little bit more visual with our photos. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to hop into InDesign. Just kind of a basic layout I borrowed from our layout ideas guide that I have as the downloadable resource. So let's look at our photos first in our project. This will be project number 2. So we have several different photos, not quite as many as the last one, but we need to find one for kind of our hero image that's going to grab people's attention. This one already has kind of a label or design to it that we can go ahead and put in here. And I always have to kind of fight myself when I have a couple of good photos to use to only choose the one I think is the most effective, because there's 4 or 5 I want to throw in there because I really want to describe my project, but there's always ways you could do that on the next page. So less is more. I always have to fight myself on that because when I put together my portfolio, I feel like every image is good. But you really want to choose the images that are going to be the most effective at showing the details. So I'm really practicing the less is more approach with this project. I found one image I think could really display both the products or package designs that I developed for this project. Instead of showing lots of different ones, I feel like showing the one worked a lot better. I also took a more editorial design layout approach to this. And don't worry about being too matchy-matchy. So with our first theme, we kind of had our branded colors and this block of copy. We're still using the same type. We're not changing our font or our type style. That's part of our brand. But it's okay to do maybe a white on black if I feel like it matches a little bit better with the project. You don't have to keep the same white bar because it may not look as good with the next project. As long as you keep with the same fonts and type choices, you can be a little bit more creative with how you present another project. So for this particular layout, I had this little circle here where I wanted to kind of zoom in and show little details of a project or illustration or a photo. And so if you have a particular illustration where there's a lot of detailed work, having a little circle that zooms in on that really helps because it's a PDF, it's only one size. It's not like a website where you can download the photo and zoom in. So kind of have that opportunity if you want to bring out details of a particular project. So there's our second project. That was a lot quicker to put together, and we have our first project done already. I think we're going to be ready to create this cover photo. This is going to be kind of the best page that we need to design. We needed to really make this attention grabbing as much as possible. I'm going to go ahead and drag in some of the elements that we're going to have on here, like the logo and maybe some of her branded colors, and then we can figure out what photos will best represent our portfolio. This is where we need to spend the most time.